So,
Good morning, Miss Jane. How you doing?
so good. Yourself?
Life is a peach.
So your name, please, sir?
My name is Neema Karami the First. I'm from Kenmore, Washington. I graduated from Inglemoor High School, fine establishment. I'm about 10 months in on my recovery journey right now. I attended Valley City's treatment center in Seattle for my inpatient. And I would say things are going pretty splendid right now.
That's right. When do you think you started believing that you might have an addiction problem?
Okay, so I'll back it up just a little bit more. So I when I graduated high school, I went to college for music theory, and I was in the music industry and for a very long time, and I was very successful at a very young age. Like in my early 20s, I was making more money than I knew what to do with. And I developed a nasty ego problem. But at this time, I still wasn't using, hard drugs. I'd have like a drink here or there. But as I got older, one drink turns to 10, and marijuana turns to cocaine. Cocaine turns to meth. It was just a gradual progression. I realized I had a problem when I stopped showing up for concerts that I was supposed to work. I realized I had a problem when I started burning through more money than I was making. But your ego kind of just lets you, I'll figure it out. I got this. The ego thing was something that I developed early just because, I was around it a lot and I never used it. So I thought I was better than everyone, and not realizing that I had to deal with my own stuff, and I wasn't doing that. So there was a lot of things early on that I wasn't addressing in my own personal life that I was having issues with. And
Could you give me one idea of what that might have been?
Sure, my relationship with my father was always something that I wanted to, and he's a great father. I don't want to misrepresent what I mean by that. My dad is an amazing father, always there for me. He raised me, but for me, I always wanted to be better than him. So I was competitive. My dad, very successful, and I always wanted to hey dad. And so when I started making like serious money in my field, I feel like it kind of, at the time I took it like, oh, he doesn't respect me. But really what it was he's like, the money's going to come. Why don't you be a man, grow up a little bit? And I never did that. So then when I started, using drugs, it just kind of spiraled out of control very quickly, by the way, very quickly. Yeah.
So when did you start to think that you needed to make some changes? Was there one particular instance? Or?
About a year before I went to treatment. So this is around COVID, right around when COVID hit. I was out of work, and people that had been around me during my successful years, they started coming around, checking on me, like, what's going on with you? That started to make me, think a little bit. I was homeless, living in Auburn, Washington, and I got robbed at gunpoint twice in one day. And it was pretty traumatic, but it happened. And that day, I got on a bus with the clothes on my back, no phone, nothing. Like, they took everything. And I got on a bus, and I headed to Virginia Mason Hospital in Seattle. And I checked in there, and I told them, I'm not leaving here until you put me in a treatment center. I'm done with this. And that capped about a 5-year period of just running and gunning, surrounding myself with unsavory characters. And I just, I was just ready to be done with it. But it took the whole process of me wanting to quit doing drugs to actually taking action. The long answer is it was a 5-year process, but the short answer, about a year before I actually did it. I remember about a year before I actually did it, I rode my bike to my dad's house. I rode all the way from Auburn to Bothell. And I told my dad, I said, I have a serious drug problem. I need help. And he's like, yeah, you do. Yeah. And he was going to take me to treatment that night, but we got into an argument and I just got on my bike and went back to Auburn. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And so but the actual occurring event, I would say being robbed at gunpoint, having a pistol put in my face twice in one day. And I remember on the bus, I didn't raise my head once. I was just like, and I'm still in therapy for that.
You ended up in Auburn, Washington.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Just going, life starts going south. I start going south. When my music career started slowing down, I got a house in Tukwila, so that's a little bit south. And of course, like a dummy, I turned it into a trap house, is what we call, drug houses. So a house that took me 15 years to obtain, I lost it in 15 months because I lost control of my home. And so then I'm living, this is 2018. So I lose the house, and then 2019. So then I'm hoteling it, living hotel to hotel. And I just burned through my money, and I just kept, Tukwila turns to Federal Way turns to Auburn, did Tacoma for when you're homeless, you'll go anywhere, if you could get a couch to sleep on So I was fortunate enough that enough people knew who I was because of my involvement in the music industry that I did have a lot of friends. So I only had to do the tent thing, living in the woods. Maybe I can count on one hand. But yeah, it just Auburn for me. Being there absolutely just destroyed me, and I really hope that one day that city can get a grip on what's going on down there, because it makes me it's sad. I've lost a lot of friends down there, and I really hope they can figure it out one day, and I pray for that.
And from Auburn, you said you had got treatment in Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that journey?
So yeah, I got assaulted twice in one day in Auburn, and I got on that bus. I just got on a bus to get on a bus. I ended up in Seattle. I get out. I happened to run into someone I knew who helped me out with a bicycle. So I'm riding the bike around downtown Seattle, and I see Virginia Mason, and I get in there. I was there for 5 days, and they were very, very, because I had gotten roughed up a little bit, but nothing to where someone would say, you need to be in the hospital. But they were very compassionate. They were very caring. And when I said, I'm not leaving here until I get into a treatment center, they let me stay in their lot. This really happened. I was supposed to check out after the third day, and they let me sleep in their lobby for a night and a half until the caravan came and got me. And they fed me. They had someone come and talk to me. And no, they were very, very compassionate. And after I got out of treatment, I forgot about this. So I had when I got off the bus, I ran into a buddy who was just like, what's going on with you? Like, how can I help you? So he gave me a bicycle, and I locked the bike up there. So when I got out of treatment and I get into my transitional housing, I got on a bus and I went back to go get my bike, and my bike was still there, and the security guards recognized me. So this is like a month later, and it felt really good. It was a good moment for me.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Big shout outs to Virginia Mason for holding on to my bike.
No, interesting. So then in this process, and now you're out of treatment, so what did you think was the next step for you?
I had no idea. I was just so happy to be off the streets, and I was learning like a lot about myself. When I was in treatment, the first week I was sleeping a lot, but I still had cravings. I still was thinking about what had happened. I actually remember the first moment in treatment where it like clicked. We were in our little circle, where you circle up in classes. So we would have like 3 classes a day. And I remember there was a young lady that came in and she was talking about her relationship. And the hardest thing for me, other than getting physically assaulted, was leaving my ex-girlfriend. We had been together for 6 years and I loved this woman, but I absolutely treated her horribly, and I deserved to not have her anymore. But so we're in the class and I'm listening to this young lady speak, and it just kind of clicked. I said, you know what? I'm not special. I'm not the only one that goes through these things. So I need to listen to what these people are saying to me. Because at first I was like, come on, man, I'm not trying to hear any of that. But then when I heard one of the people in the class talking about it, that's when it really clicked. And I think from that moment on, I said to myself, I'm going to give 120% to this thing and just see what happens. But I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. This time, me wanting to quit using drugs was the first time. Like I had never gone to treatment before. I had never tried to quit. But yeah, I'm 10 months and life's a peach.
How'd you end up in Everett?
Well, so that's I love you for asking me that. Shout outs to Everett. So when I graduated high school and I went to college, I moved to Everett. So I actually lived a big portion of my sober adult life in Everett. I lived, what was the name of it? The North Creek Apartments on 112th and 3rd, I think, by Mariner High School. I lived there for a long time, and so when I was leaving treatment and I was looking for transitional housing, my case manager, he just straight up asked me, he said, where do you want to go to? And I said, well, I'm not going to Auburn, I'm not going to Tacoma. I basically just said, this is where I don't want to end up. And Everett and Bellevue were my 2 choices. I either want to go back to where I spent a lot of my happy life, or I want to go back and be near my dad. So I ended up here, and the first day my first day, not out of treatment, but the next day I came here for orientation. So it was good. And I walk into the cafe and there's staff here that I grew up with. And
How did you hear about the cafe?
when I was in treatment, they were constantly telling us, go to the cafe. And specifically when I was in treatment in Seattle, they were mentioning the Seattle Recovery Cafe. But then when I got accepted into my transitional housing here in Everett, yeah.
Tell us about the moment that you kind of first stepped into the cafe. What did you kind of like? What was the experience like?
I came in and I believe it was either Ollie or Mike. Was like, hey, how's it going? Just nothing but just love and compassion. No, it was Mike. Mike was the first person to greet me. And then Ollie came and made a comment about my outfit, giving me a compliment, and it was relaxed, it was welcoming, and they knew I was new, So Ollie was cracking jokes, made me feel real welcome, and then I believe I came in, Mike, Ollie, and then Daniel starts talking to me, and we hit it off, and then I went to the orientation, and I signed up for a recovery circle, which I started to go to, and then it just, and I've been here like every day for like the last 10 months, and it just, and I love the entire staff here. They're all really amazing people for different reasons. Everyone's like for different reasons, but the resources that I've been able to utilize just as a result, thank you to people like April and Crystal for just putting it in front of me. And
Well, Would you give me one example of one of the standout resources for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been able to take all my certifications for peer counseling directly as a result of April going out of her way to make sure that I know about it. I either fund it myself and help me plan it out, or help me get funding for it. And then immediately, as soon as I'm done with my certifications, she goes 10 steps above and beyond to help me find a job in that field. So, April, Crystal, Melissa, Tanika, and I've grown to be, I consider these people family now, and some more than others just because I see them more and I have, the conversations. But like, to be specific, like Daniel has been there for me as a recovery coach. And life's been pretty good, generally speaking, since I got out of treatment. But we all have our days. And, I've had a couple days where I've come in here and we weren't scheduled to meet, but I call him and I'm like, hey, can I come see you? And he's like, just come through, and he clears his schedule. Calais has been somebody that's also really they do more than what is asked, and you don't even have to ask. You just show up and they're already like, here's a list of places you can go for whatever. Here's a list of things that you can do for school. And it's just, but the biggest thing for me is just the atmosphere. When I come in here, I know it's a place of not judgment. And the thing about it is, when you're using drugs and you're in that world, you don't even think a place like this exists. And it does. Okay, so like when I was when I'm in treatment and I hear about a place like this, I don't think it's this. I think I'm gonna go somewhere and it's like a library and people are just sitting there with their tea. No, this it's like a clubhouse for people in recovery, and it's really great. I will say, the way that the staff, and I guess I don't know the rules, but I guess the building as a whole handles crisis situations. And I will say this on the record, the way that the cafe handles crisis situations for people in recovery, I would on the record say I think it is the way to handle these kind of situations, because of the lack of judgment and because of the unconditional, unequivocal compassion. And I can think of 2 instances right now where that has directly helped someone I knew, where if it was maybe somewhere else, it wouldn't have been that type of situation. So, yeah.
Meaning the outcome wouldn't have been
Exactly,
positive.
yeah. And both situations that I'm thinking of in my mind right now are extremely positive situations that are good friends of mine that are going to be here today, that I was with yesterday. And I want to say his name so bad, but I can't. I obviously can't. But I'm really proud of these people, and I'm grateful for the cafe for handling their situations the way that they did handle it. So.
Recovery coach. I assume you have a coach.
Daniel, I did. I graduated, but that's just a testament to Daniel, because I graduated 3 months ago, and he still checks in with me. And it's a little different now, when we were actually in the coachee, I could call him at 8:00 at night. I know you're not supposed to on the record, but I could, I know I could. And hey, what's going on? What do you need? But even 3 months later, I still have really great conversations with him. He checks in on me. He's an exceptional, of the highest caliber. And
what sort of things did you work on while you were in that coaching relationship?
He was able to help me navigate through the whole process of my schooling. He was able to help me navigate through, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but my relationship stuff. To this day, he's still helping me navigate through my trauma. That's the number one thing that I've been able to talk to him about. And I know that they're not licensed therapists, but it helps. it helps just having someone listen there, and when it's prompted, give their input. You know, when it's prompted, hearing his, you know, and because I've asked him, I'm like, dude, do you even get this? And he's like, listen, bro, you want to hear this? Okay, you know, yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
And so you like your time at the cafe then?
Oh, the Everett Cafe has been 1,000% essential in my recovery. More than my transitional housing, more than, and I would put this on record, more than my transitional housing, more than my treatment. I've had my most progress as a result of being here, just because of the atmosphere that's provided by the cafe, a lot of the resources that's provided by the cafe, and just the general temperature that when I come here every day, whether I'm here doing service work or whether I'm here as a member, just the general temperature is perfect. And I would, if someone asked me, I would say that the number one thing I would point my recovery success to is the cafe. Absolutely. That's why I'm here every day. I'm here every day.
You went to the police station recently, or you volunteered to go talk?
Yeah, no, I've completely immersed myself in service work and just speaking out, whether it's at anger management sessions or domestic violence panels, because I do feel like as men, and I want to be clear on this, I was part of the problem. I'm not pointing fingers. As a man, when you're in that lifestyle on drugs, you completely throw accountability and self-awareness out the window. All you're thinking about is that next high, and it's kind of, you know, touchy-feely to talk about. But I as somebody who used to be the problem, and I have changed. I have, you know, gone to therapy. I've gone to anger management. I've done the panels, and I didn't just. Let me back up. Maybe I went to just go. But as I'm learning and as I'm seeing the effects it has on people, it registers, and I'm like, oh wow, I really fucked up. Excuse me, I really messed up.
So actually showing up for things is a really important part.
Yeah, but it's not enough. You need to let it digest, and then I'll just circle back to this. That's why the cafe for me personally has been so amazing, because the cafe, like when you're in the recovery circles here, it's not a do this, your life will get better. It's here's what, you know, they lay it all out. They give you options, they give you resources. And for me, it's very much been a hands-on guess and check. You know, this works for me, this doesn't, but there's no judgment. Like, we're here for you regardless. So I can't say the name on camera, but there was somebody here I know that recently went back to a time of using very quickly, and then came back really quickly. And I was really very happy at the reaction of the staff at the cafe towards this person, welcoming them back. And that's, in a nutshell, why this place has been so amazing for me. And I don't get paid. I'm here voluntarily every day. So but yeah, it's you know, and then just going back to the thing, you know, the trauma bonding, I'd really like to long term be a voice for people that are trying to fix their lives and getting them to understand, because getting sober is not enough. Like, that's why it's called recovery. It's not called getting sober, because you got to learn kind of how to navigate through life when you are hit with those problems. And that's the thing I'm most proud of for myself. But yeah, like when I go speak at these panels or when I go, you know, speak at these, you know, I was at I don't know if I can say the city on camera because it's on record, but I was at a courthouse recently speaking at an anger management class that I had previously graduated from, and there was a couple of gentlemen there, and I could tell that they just didn't get it, and I had to like really look at him like listen, bro, she will leave you, like if you don't figure that I promise you she will leave, like end of story. And hopefully they get it. I didn't get it for 6 years. I had the, for all intents and purposes, I had the woman of my dreams, and I treated her horribly for a very long time, and I lost her as a result of it. And it was the most difficult moment of my adult life, and I've learned to forgive myself for it. And but then you got to move on. You have to accept it, and that was a tough pill to swallow. Like it was hard.
10 months, you accomplished a great deal.
Yeah.
And that's feeling good. You're not overwhelmed by this.
No, no. I have a pretty high threshold for work, especially when I was in the music industry. I think I went 5 years and I had like a total of 2 days off. It was just nonstop. And honestly, when you sleep it sounds simple, but when you sleep every day correctly, when you eat right correctly, and when you're surrounding yourself with good people correctly, and there's nothing toxic in your life, this is easy. Like there's nothing. It's not complicated. It's not like it's simple, but you just have to put the work in. And really, you just have to want it. I think everyone reaches a point where they're just ready. And even for myself, that day that I rode my bike to my dad's house, I wasn't ready. I wanted to be ready, but I wasn't. Physically, I wasn't ready. So,
what would you like for yourself going forward? Do you have some thoughts about your next steps?
No, sure. I have goals. I've been taking all the trainings. Ultimately, I want to get into, drug and alcohol counseling. I want to finish getting my degree, as maybe in therapy, who knows, mental health. But right now, like, I'm pretty happy with the progress so far, but I'm not easing up at all. And the other thing is, I'm not taking for granted the concept of one day at a time. I take every day like it's my first day back, and I think that's why I've been successful. I've completely quenched the ego that got me here. I didn't end up here because I started doing meth. I ended up here because I thought I was better than everyone. So like for me, the name of the game is just remaining humble, like and respecting others, and just appreciating the fact that I'm here. So yeah.
Yeah, trauma isn't a one and done thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't keep coming back for free if it wasn't amazing. Just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding, but no, I really enjoy it here.
Legit.
Yeah, I really enjoy coming here.